everyone for joining us. Today we are talking with Sid, who loves tomatoes and ice with chocolate. He was once a deputy sheriff, cursed at a teacher, and then quit a job and started his own business. He wishes he was from Brazil and has a collection of coins from all over the world. Today he's going to share about traveling to the World Cup in South Africa.
Welcome,
Hey,
Sid.
all right, how you guys doing? Thank you.
Great.
Good. We're
Thank you
going to
so much
get
for having me.
started. I'm going to hit the timer. We got 7 minutes. And so I'm just going to start with asking how you decided to go to the World Cup. Where did that come from and how you started to take that journey?
Well, actually, I was in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, me and a friend of mine, and what's funny is that that friend and his daughter are actually here with me now at my house. They've been here for over a year because of this COVID thing,
Okay.
and we traveled together to Africa. But like I said, we were in Brazil and we heard, I think we were looking at television, we were at a restaurant and there was a TV up on the screen at the restaurant and they had announced that South Africa had just gotten the World Cup. This was in 2010. And we looked at each other and said, we're gonna go to South Africa for the World Cup. And of course that's 4 years earlier, and we really hadn't thought about it, later as the time was coming, we talked about it a little bit, but we hadn't made any plans. And I think it was around, had to be maybe around July or August of 2009. Uh, at that time, we were actually renting a house together. He was like on the up, I was renting a basement, he had the upper part of the house. And he had actually left to go to Africa, but he was in Ethiopia, I think. And I called him and I said, uh, "I'm sorry, we weren't renting a house. We had actually, I had moved, and but I called him and I told him, I said, look, next time you go to Africa, I'm going with you." And he said, "Meet me in Ethiopia in a few months." And I said, "Okay." And we had talked and said, and I didn't think it was going to be as long of a trip, even like I said, we talked about these things, but I really wasn't sure how this was going to go. But I had my own business at the time, and I knew that there was a time of year when my business slowed down,
Mm.
but I didn't make as much money. So during my money making period, I would just make as much money as possible, and then I would go travel. And so that happened around February. I had enough money to go travel, and so I met him in Ethiopia in March of 2010, and we knew that the World Cup was in June, and we wound up staying from March to, I think I stayed from March to August.
Oh, wow.
And how all this went was that, like I said, he was already on the continent, and I met him. I flew to South Africa, and he was staying with some Ethiopian friends of ours in Ethiopia, and I flew into South Africa, and I knew I had to get another flight to Ethiopia. Now I was so excited. This is my first time going to Africa. I was so excited. I completely forgot that my flight to Ethiopia didn't leave till the next day,
Oh.
and I hadn't made any plans to stay here.
Uh,
And my business was all of my invoices for my business weren't in yet. But I hadn't received my money yet from business I had done. So I only had like 150, maybe $200 on me, but I knew my money was coming. I saw that my orders had been filled, but I knew it was going to be for like another 10 days or so. So it hit me about about not leaving till the next day when I was in the airport, and
Oh,
I
no.
get to the counter for Ethiopian Airlines and it's closed.
Oh, man. So
So
what surprised you most about South Africa or going to the World Cup? I mean, wow.
uh Well, being in Southern Africa, how close it was to the United States, South Africa itself, how close it was to the infrastructure. I mean,
Right.
other than driving on the other side of the road
Yeah.
and a couple other little things, most of the infrastructure is just like here in the United States.
Huh.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the
Right.
roads, everything is very close. The malls, everything, very very close. Um, but we wound up doing 6 countries.
Wow.
Wow.
So like I said, I flew into South Africa. I made it to Ethiopia after this girl saw me wandering around the airport with my luggage, looking lost, and she walked up to me and I had walked past her about 3 or 4 times, and she said, "Do you need a place to stay?" I was like, "Yeah." We had these little lodges where people stayed at, and so I stayed there overnight and flew
Okay.
out the next day, and so stayed in Ethiopia. My luggage had been lost for 10 days, so I stayed in the same clothes for 10 days.
Oh no. Oh God, this sounds like quite an adventure, Sid.
Oh,
Yeah.
the adventure started right from the very beginning.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
I'm gonna squeeze in because we're gonna run out of time. We always ask the food question. You were in Ethiopia, and I love Ethiopian food. So tell me some of the food in Africa that you had, or some of your favorite meals, or anything you discovered about the amazing food on that continent.
Okay, so since we got limited time, I'm going to say we went. It was Ethiopia, South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Swaziland.
Okay, beautiful.
So in Ethiopia, the food, I live in the Washington D.C. area, which has probably the largest Ethiopian community outside of Ethiopia, especially in the United States. So I've had plenty of Ethiopian food here in my area, but of course, going to Ethiopia, the food was authentic. I mean, it
Right,
was. I wasn't used to how fresh it was. You
right,
know,
Mm,
so I did get sick, but it wasn't because the food was bad. It was because I wasn't used to how fresh the
and
food
rich.
really really was.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so that was an awesome trip. And like I said, we had friends there, so I was able to go through the Rift Valley and things like that, and went to a hot springs. Then we came back down and to South Africa, and my friend I was traveling with, he used to work for the World Bank, and so he had a friend from Tanzania. She had a work assignment in South Africa for 6 months. We stayed at her house. We basically left our luggage at her house in South Africa and got on a bus and went to Botswana. We hadn't really planned out a we didn't have a real plan. We just went to the countries that he hadn't been to in Africa yet. And
Right.
so we hopped on the bus, went to Botswana, met a guy on the bus. We stayed at his house for 10 days on a game reserve, and
Oh,
I remember one of the neighbors when one of his neighbors, he said, if you wake up in the morning and you see an elephant in the front yard, don't worry about it. They're just going to drink water.
Oh,
oh, see, that was
oh
our
my
7 minutes, and I love
God.
that that was the last
I
statement
know
you
that was
made.
the last thing you shared. How amazing.
We
Oh,
could talk
God.
to you for hours about
10
this
minutes is up
trip.
already?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the 7 minutes is up.
I know. And we just got the adventure rolling. It sounds
Uh,
amazing. Oh, we're gonna have to make sure
we're gonna have to do
people.
this again, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this
Let's do
again.
about
You're gonna have to come on our coffee chats and share more
Oh
about
yeah,
this.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm gonna send you an invite so we can
yeah.
hear
So you could
more.
tell us all about it. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's our 7 minutes. We did it, and there's so much more. You were on an amazing trip. I love that you didn't have a plan, Sid, and I love that you're sitting here smiling, talking about all of the mishaps that you had, because that's part of what's fun about travel, right? All of that,
Okay.
just fly by the seat of your pants and do it anyway, because even your plans get messed up. Uh, so that's our 7 minutes. We have a question and answer series that April and I are starting. So if anybody has questions for us, travel related or otherwise, just put them in that. There's a link in the description below. Can't say those words. And travel with us through real stories from real people. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sid.
Thanks for having me on.